Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtraprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandnamaha Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What's the date today? 14th. I'm leaving on 17th. 14th, 15th, 16th, Friday. Oh yeah. Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are continuing with our Bhagavat Life series of the program, wherein we are now studying from the 4th canto, chapter number 21. Very, very beautiful chapter. Instructions by Mahārāja Pṛthu. Text number 1. Maitriya Vacha. Text number 1. क्या कर रहे तुम? मौकती कय कुसुमास्रग्भे दुकले स्वर्ण तोरणे महासुरभिभे धूपे मंडितम तत्र तत्र वै. Keep it behind, facing me. उसको ले जाकर, so यहाँ others can sit. All right, translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the king entered his city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gates. And the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense. So if you're managing it, you can put it on Zoom also, so that, online devotees can also have the access. Please close all the doors. It's going to start drilling in a few minutes. close the windows inside, so sound comes less. Okay, sorry, I just lost track of. After a few minutes, when it starts shedding, we can close it. Hare Krishna, sorry, too many management in the beginning. So welcome once again. We are on the 4th canto, chapter number 21. What had just has happened is Lord Vishnu had appeared in the sacrificial arena of ISKCON. Now we'll read the translation. So everyone is assembled to welcome Pṛthu Mahārāja. Fragrant water distilled from sandalwood and aguru herb was sprinkled everywhere on the lanes, roads, small parks throughout the city, and everywhere were decorations of unbroken fruits, flowers, wetted grains, varied minerals, lamps, all presented as auspicious paraphernalia. All the street crossings, there were bunches of fruits and flowers, as well as pillars of banana trees, betel nut branches. All these combined decorations everywhere looked very attractive. So everything which is God-given, natural, is being used to decorate the city, to welcome Pṛthu Mahārāja. Text number 4. As the king entered the gate of the city, all the citizens received him with many auspicious articles, lamps, flowers, yogurt. The king was also received by many beautiful unmarried girls whose bodies were bedecked with various ornaments, especially with earrings which collided with one another. Priti, give me a little bass. This is too high treble. It's too sharp a sound. So in the purport, talks about the science behind all these arrangements. Why all these natural things? And of course, what is the idea of having young girls, there to welcome? So young girls in our Sanskrit is called as Kumari. And we just had Navratri where these Kumaris were worshipped. The feet are washed. They are considered auspicious in that way. So that is the whole idea. Text number 5. So this is about the natural arrangement, now musical arrangements. When the king entered the palace, conch shells, kettle drums were sounded. Priests chanted Vedic mantras and professional reciters offered different prayers. But in spite of all this ceremony to welcome him, the king was not the least bit affected. So here once again we study about the science of guest reception. So I remember when we had our NVCC temple opening, so there was a lot of discussion about how the guest reception of the welcome ceremony should happen, at least for the VIPs. VIPs I'm referring to senior devotees. So it was decided, you might have had some idea by now, it was decided because this is Maharashtra, then we'll welcome all of them in a traditional Maharashtra style. Everyone when they will enter, उनको पगड़ी पहनाई जाएगी, उनके हाथों पे incense लगाया जाएगा, there will be sprinkling of a scented water, garland offer करा जाएगा, like this, and there will be a tilak, kumkum would be put on the forehead. Those who are sannyasis, they'll be quickly taken into a private room where the feet will be washed like this, and and you give them some gift or something like that. So this is how we do it today. And generally, who would you engage generally? For incense, scented water like this, we generally engage kids. So we are also still up to today, we're following them to some extent. This is what has been described here. And there's a musical instrument, Vedic Himsa, and then there will be devotees chanting, some prayers, Purusha Sukta, Brahma Samhita, something just to, or in our case, we chant the holy names. Hare Krishna Kirtan will be going on, and then welcoming of guests. Water. Welcoming of guests happens like that. Now, in the text number 5, one more interesting thing is mentioned here is Pṛthu Mahārāja did not become proud at all. Imagine if you are given a grand welcome. Okay, let's imagine a scenario. If we can mute it. I want you to close your eyes and imagine. You get down, or you come out of the Pune airport. There are 4 people standing there holding a placard that has your name. Welcome Falana Dikana Das, or whatever XYZ. And you see that, and you go to the placard of the person who was standing there, Immediately say, sir, welcome, welcome, thank you for coming to Pune. And they offer you garland. And then each of them carry your luggage. Sir, why are you carrying your luggage? Please give your luggage to us. And they escort you. And outside is standing brand new BMW. Batman wali, you know. And you're escorted to the car, you sit in the car, comfortable, and the car takes you zoo, 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 and that takes you to your wherever you're supposed to go to the venue. And you reach to the venue, and there are almost 20, 30 guests, people are standing there to welcome you. Some are playing musical instruments, some are throwing petals at you, you come out of it, and there is a lot of excitement you have come over there. How would you feel? How many of you feel there would be a sense of pride? हम भी कुछ हैं आखिरकार. What do you say? How many of you, when in that situation, you look at somebody just walking across the street, somebody just walking across the street, and you're getting a grand reception, how would you feel? There would be a sense of pride? Something like this or not? So there is an interesting thing mentioned here. The king was not the least bit affected. See, point is, all of us gonna get affected. Therefore, the point is mentioned that king was not affected. Otherwise, why would this point would be highlighted? And Prabhupada says something very interesting in the purport. The reception given to the king was full of opulence, yet he did not become proud. It is said, therefore, that the great personalities of power and opulence never become proud. Who? The great personalities. And the example is given here that a tree which is laden with fruits is always bent low. The one which does not have fruits is always standing erect. This is a sign of a wonderful character of great personalities. I had a recent experience. I've been to one particular city. Just to reach to that city, I had to go through a lot of nightmare. Our car was stuck in a traffic. I had to catch a flight. I had to literally catch hold of my luggage and run across the streets, beg people to give me ride. And I don't carry cash. I don't have any money to, immediately get into auto or something. Somebody give me, even a bike ride will work, because I had to go to the station. Because they told me, somebody was directing me on the phone, you go to the station, from there you catch a metro, and you get down at some place, Andheri, I believe, and from there, take a cab and come to the airport like this. Nobody was willing to give a ride. Everyone was stuck with traffic jam. Somehow I reached the station. From station, almost half an hour was there, and I just could not enter the train only. It was fully packed, crowded, And somehow somebody told me, Prabhu, if you want to get inside the train, you have to literally beg. You have to tell people, you have a flight. If I don't catch this train, you will not be able to reach the airport. So this was the last train. If I miss this, I have to cancel my plan, or I have to rebook some other flight or something else. So again, there was no space, fully packed. And one person had somehow created a space. So I literally, with the both hands, I said, sir, please understand, I have a flight to catch, and if I miss this train, I've been standing here for the last half an hour, if I miss this train, I will not get to the airport in time. Pata nahi kya hua. By the grace of the Lord, he pushed and pulled and created a space for himself. He said nothing and he came out. And he gave me that cleavage with which I can enter. Somehow, and जैसे मैं घुसा ना, पता नहीं क्या हुआ, पीछे से 4 लोग और घुस गए. Although there was no space. और खींचातानी करके मैं आधे पौन घंटे उस ट्रेन में खड़ा रहा, और खूब लोगों ने, अब मुझे तो टिकट पता नहीं बॉम्बे मेट्रो का, उन्होंने बोला, if you are getting into the train, you have to stand in this angle, that angle, every position, they have their own way of standing. मैंने कहा यार मेरी चटनी बन चुकी थी. Lord, it was raining. My clothes were all dirty. I was, sprinkle and all that. Somehow I reached to the airport. And literally I was feeling like जैसे किसी ने मेरे कपड़े फाड़ दिए हो, बुरी हालत हो चुकी है, ऐसे मैं पिटा हुआ पहुंचा था. And then I reached to the city where I had to go, and I reached there at the airport. Then I had this welcome which I was telling you. There were 4 people standing with a placard. मैंने कहा यार मैं कैसे जाऊँ इस कपड़ों में, मेरी हालत खराब है मेरी. I went out. There was a brand new BMW. I got inside the car. I was just thinking, how within a day you can from rags to riches, you have an experience. Then it was a 5-star hotel. When I went there, then they had this whole dum-dum style mein welcome. मैंने कहा अगर मैं किसी को कहानी बताऊंगा ना डमडम वाला भी बोलेगा तू हट तेरे से अच्छा जीवन तो मेरा रहा आज का. You know? So I was just going through this experience that particular day in my life. So anyways, I was just reminded of it. You know. Anyways, text number 6. So the idea of the great personality of power and opulence never becomes proud. The idea of the great personality is they're in line with the truth. They know the very fact that today you have it, tomorrow it can be taken away from you. So when it is great personality is mentioned here, it is sukhe dukhe samay kritva labha labho jaya jayo. That is the definition of great personality. So if you have it, you don't get affected. If you don't have it, you will not get affected. That's the idea of it. Text number 6. Both the important citizens and the common citizens welcomed the king very heartily, and he also bestowed upon them their desired blessings. This is a welcome of Pṛthu Mahārāja is going on. Text number 7. King Pṛthu was greater than the greatest soul and was therefore worshipable by everyone. He performed many glorious activities in ruling over the surface of the world and was always magnanimous. After achieving such great success and a reputation which spread throughout the universe, he at last obtained the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Last line of the verse, Pitam Nidhyaharure Parampadam. So like this, the discussion about Pṛthu Mahārāja concludes here. Saying that he came back, he ruled the kingdom as the best citizen, as the best king. He set the best example by performing his kingly duties. At the end of his life, he attained kingdom of Godhead, back home, back to Godhead. This is how it's been described here. Now something else happens. Text number 8. Sutavacha tad adirajasya yasho vijambitam guner asheshe gunavatsabhajitam shatta mahabhagvata sadaspate Kausharavim pragranatam archayan. Sutta Goswami continued, O Shaunaka, leader of the great sages, after hearing Maitreya speak about the various activities of King Pṛthu, the original king who was fully qualified, glorified, and widely praised all over the world, Vidura, the great devotee, very submissively worshipped Maitreya Rishi and asked him the following questions. You understand there's a levels of conversation happening. So original conversation is happening between Sutta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishi. He is quoting the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. We started from the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which will continue to the 5th canto. Now the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya is about Pṛthu Mahārāja. So here Maitreya Muni concluded about Pṛthu Mahārāja. And then Vidurji asked further questions to Maitreya Muni about Pṛthu Mahārāja. Sutta Goswami is now conveying this message to Shaunakadi Rishi. And text number 9, Viduravacha. Viduravacha. So Visikta Pṛthu Vipre Labdha Shesha Surharanaha Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Bahavo Yabhyam Dudhohaga. So those who like to hear about others, those who like to converse about others, here's a very important topic and discussion about whom you should converse or discuss about. Vidurji speaks, text number 9 translation. My dear Brahmana Maitreya, it is very enlightening to understand that King Pṛthu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas. All the Devatas presented him with innumerable gifts, and he also expanded his influence upon personally receiving strength from Lord Vishnu. Thus, he greatly developed the earth. This is all previous chapter, but this all has happened. Okay. Now what else? Vidurji says, text number 10 translation. Pṛthu Mahārāja was so great in his activities and magnanimous in his method of ruling that all the kings and devatas on the various planets still follow in his footsteps. So, very interesting thing. Prabhupada will also mention the purport. Of course, we have lost most of the Vedic knowledge, but traditionally, the subject matter of Pṛthu Mahārāja was discussed and taught in the royal dynasty, just to set a right example of how the king should rule. Pṛthu Maharaj examples become of great importance because Pṛthu Maharaj was born to a father who was an atheist. And therefore it becomes far much more important. Father was atheist, he has completely stopped the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All Brahminical culture he has stopped and destroyed. Whereas Pṛthu Maharaj, in such an adverse condition, re-established the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the adverse condition to a favorable condition. Therefore, Pṛthu Maharaj's example is particularly very important. Now, Viduji says, I wish to hear more and more about Pṛthu Maharaj because his activities are so pious and auspicious. So I just want you to reflect for a second. Whose life, whose examples, we are inspired by. In other words, can you just for a second close your eyes and think about some person, some personality, if in case you have an opportunity to discuss about that person, you would not want the conversation to end. I'm not talking the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I just wanted to, just for a second, close your eyes and think about it. Is there any personality? I'm not going to ask you for the answers. I just want you to reflect upon it. If you're having a conversation about him, discussion about him, you would not want that conversation to end because such a great inspiration. How many of you have such personalities, one or many in your mind running through? Please raise your hand. I hope they're not film personalities and sports stars. Sure, na? We're not talking about Shah Rukh Khan and Sachin Tendulkar here. Okay, let me clarify, put an adjective here or condition. We're talking about from the spiritual paradigm. Once again, raise your hand. How many of you have these personalities? Anyone? Raise your hand high up. So we all want to talk. We all want to hear. Whenever an opportunity comes, bring their discussion. This is the best way to transform your prajalpa into sanjalpa. Always do that. Because that attracts our heart to talk about them, ask about them. If you know something about, share about them. I'll tell you, maybe I can share the name also here. So, okay, let's not take the names. There was this particular teacher, very, very inspiring personality. It was a great inspiration for me also, although I had a very brief contact with him. His students particularly, they followed Upadeshamrita teaching so profoundly, so profoundly. Everyone was Grahastha, no brahmachari. Everyone was Grahastha. All were from top-notch colleges from India. If they would speak, if they would utter a word, it would be, if they say anything, first of all, they would not say anything. If they say anything, it will be about service, or else it will be about their teacher, or Srila Prabhupada. You cannot hear, I have never heard anything from them about anything else. There is no question of fault finding only. So I had little touch, little contact, a few personal meetings with that teacher, but I had good amount of interaction with the students because I used to serve around, we used to serve around together. They'll come to the temple because nobody was living in the temple. They'll come like this, Spirit of Silence, do their service. And if you really want to talk to them, you start talking about their guru, you start talking about Prabhupada, then you will see them bubbly and you'll see them, they're also human beings. They'll talk like human beings. Otherwise, that was a quality of training. That was a, training. I just wanted to pay attention when Rupa Goswami says, Vacho Vekam. That's the very first thing he said. And then Atyahara Priyashascha Prajalpaha. Then he again repeated that. Because of great importance. Tongue is a thing, causes so much havoc, so much destruction. So here Vidurji is saying, hey Maitreya Muni, I would like to hear more about Pṛthu Maharaj. Well, Pṛthu Maharaj have returned back to the kingdom and you said he ruled very nicely and returned back home, back to Godhead. Wait a second, I want to understand, how did he rule? Tell me what his life when he returned back to the kingdom, what all he did. I want to know more about him. Well, isn't that wonderful conversation? Pṛthu is not an ordinary person. Okay, he's a Shakti Vishavta. Apart from that, you can see he's a great devotee of the Lord because he established Dharma. So he's expressing that. I want to know more about. So therefore, it's important for all of us also, while we are trying to cultivate remembrance of the Lord, we should also read about the great devotees, great personalities, their biographies, autobiographies, or things written about them. For example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the seventh Goswami is the book. He's known as Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. Today morning I was thinking, I was looking at my library and I have different sections of this. I was thinking, oh, I don't have this, I don't still have that book. What is that? Bhakti Vaibhav? What did it written by Bhakti Vikas Maharaj? I said I should get that copy immediately before it go out of print. I still don't have. Of course, I don't have a time immediately, but when I have a time, at least I can read it. That's something we should have it. Similarly, everyone should have Prabhupada Lilamrit, and at least everyone should have read or should be reading Prabhupada Lilamrit. Once you get absorbed in those personality, in the character, in the life now, so many things will get settled. One thing will get settled is at times when life is not going the way we want it, because life is all about ups and downs. When life is, not going in a favorable way, when we are feeling low, when you read about the lives of these personalities, when you see the challenges that they face, and with a smiling face they dealt with all those challenges, you laugh at your struggles. You realize your struggles are not even significant even to think about, have no significance. But for me, because I'm so centralized within my own life, I'm just so much caught up within my own sphere, I think there are personalities. Read about the Goswamis. There's so much have been written about Goswamis also now. If not, hear about them. But I would say hearing, for those of you who have been around for a while, hearing is still okay, but we should now build up on practice on reading now. I'm not talking those who have been just new in the last 2-3 years. Those who have been for more than 3 years practicing nicely, they should now dedicatedly focus their energy on cultivating reading habit. Because you may not get everything to hear about, but you can still read. So that's important. So that way you can be in touch with great personalities. So one thing that I've noticed is somewhere the angle is I should read about the Lord, I should hear about the Lord, if in case that. That still is limited in the Kanishta paradigm. What about the devotees? What do you see in the Bhagavatam? What is the conversation about? They ask him about the lives of the devotees. So we should take a lesson from here. And if in case we remain in touch with these great personalities, I can do one thing immediately would happen is you'll find yourself to be in a very fortunate situation. You'll find yourself, you have none of those challenges which they had to face, while trying to establish Krishna consciousness or while trying to practice Krishna consciousness. And what happens when you read, I personally love Mahabharata. But the problem with Mahabharata in general is, for many is, they think it's a bygone story. It's historical. But when you read about Prabhupada's life, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's life, it still seems practical, but it seems like, abhi to hua hai. Then it seems like, yes, I can also imbibe those, their forgiveness, their tolerance and whatnot, because they did that. So you see what works for you. Anyways, some thoughts on it. Text number 11. And now Maitreya Muni begins to speak. Maitreya Vacha Ganga Yamunayo Nadyo Antara Kshetramavasan Arabdhaneva Bubuje Bhoga Punya Jihasaya. The great saintly sage Maitreya told Vidura, my dear Vidur, King Pṛthu lived in the tract of land between the two great rivers, Ganges and Yamuna. Because he was very opulent, it appeared that he was enjoying his destined fortune in order to diminish the result of his past pious activities. Just to speak on the great personalities, you see that in the first canto, when Narad Muni had appeared to Vyasadeva, what was the issue with Vyasadeva? Anyone remembers? Dissatisfaction. Vyasadeva have written everything. Vyasadeva knew past, present, future. Past, present, future. He knew everything. He had written about everything. But somewhere he was not content. Narad Muni comes. Vyasadeva and Narad Muni have a samvad, a conversation. Does anyone remember what did Vyasadeva ask Narad Muni? Yes, Sanjay. What did Vyasadeva ask Narad Muni?
What can I do to get satisfied?
That is the first level of question. That is done. What is the next thing that Vyasadeva asked, which was out of context, out of syllabus, which had nothing to do with his worry? No, 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 no. It had nothing to do about him. It had nothing to do about his worry. What did Vyasadeva ask Narad Muni? And that led to the next whole chapter. He asked about Narada's past life. I just wanted to think about why did he ask about Narada's past life? We don't know exactly at times what kind of conversation we are supposed to have. We're caught up in all kind of very mundane conversation. Why did he ask? No, my question to all of you is, if Vyasadeva knew past, present, future, yes or no? So do you think he would not know the past life of Narada Muni? Then why did he ask Narada Muni about past life? Please, can you tell me, Narada? Because he told about his Narada Dubai briefly. Can you please tell me more about it? And there's a whole conversation about that whole thing. So think about it. Think about it. How important it is. Particularly, now we have this, I was just thinking recently, thinking about now because a lot of Vyas Puja is going to come. So we have the 75th Vyas Puja for His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Whichever Vyas Puja, whatever it is, first, second, doesn't matter. Now, what's the importance of Vyas Puja? Gratitude. Okay, what happens on the day of Vyas Puja? Let's put it this way. What happens on the day of Vyas Puja? What happens on the day of Vyas Puja is generally we force ourselves either to hear or to remind ourselves of all the contributions, sacrifices that particular individual have done in our life. Yes or no? Now imagine how important it would be for those of us who are at distance from that personality. Our association is largely limited to a spiritual association because we get to hear. Spiritual association is often nourishing. Spiritual association is often nourishing. So even if you don't get too much here, it won't make a difference. You will still continue happily hearing his lecture. You will still be nourished because there is no managerial conversation. But imagine somebody is working very close. Managerial side means friction. There is going to be challenges and problems and whatnot because now you see a different type of personality there. For you may not be so much important to be there, but it's very important for those who are serving with that personality to at least hear and remember. Because when we are often looking at the managerial side, then we forget about the spiritual side. Then we forget about what all this person have done for us or done for the community or the society at large. And when those individuals, when they are themselves, imagine they are the senior members working very closely with the leader, when they themselves have to, bhaiya, aaj mujhe offering karni hai. Now they'll have to think, see Maharaj, how did he came in 1987? How much struggles he did? How much he struggled and all that. And then they go through, they force themselves. Immediately the spiritual side takes the forefront. And all that little bit glitches, all that little bit confusion, it all subsides. This is very important. This should be very important done. You look at the history, has there been any spiritual, in the spiritual forum, any relationship where there had not been a conflict? We had disciples lead Prabhupada. We had Prabhupada, secretary, assistant, personal servant. We had personal servant of Prabhupada leave. And now we hear about devotees saying, for example, Radhanath Maharaj says, I had the opportunity to be with Prabhupada. If I would have agreed, I could have, जब Prabhupada ने कहा ना वृंदावन रुकने के लिए, those kind of things, Maharaj. So we hear from devotees who did not have that opportunity, they hanker. And simultaneously we hear about people who had opportunities, who served, and they left. So this is always the situation. So therefore, who was saying this point? Our guest speaker from Chapati, who had gone. Baldev Prabhu. He said when Gauranga Prabhu had to get involved with GV project, he's going to become the right hand in whatever way he was saying. So then Gauranga Prabhu, when Baldev Prabhu was teasing him, Prabhuji, wah, abhi to wah, bahut mahan ho gaye. I'm just paraphrasing, you know what he said. But the main point, which really struck me that time, Gauranga Prabhu said, please pray for me. This is Shastric fact. With a spiritual personality, if you're with a spiritual personality, they're like fire. They burn you on anathas and they can burn you also in your spiritual life if you commit aparadha. And to know more about this is a beautiful book by His Honour Shivram Swami Maharaj. What is that name? Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani. There he talks in details about Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari cannot grow without the association. Kanishta Adhikari cannot take the association. Because if you take the association, he'll commit fault and he'll fall down. But he cannot grow if he does not take an association. So whose responsibility is to be careful? It is our responsibility. And see what Gaurangpur said, please all of you pray that I do not commit aparadha. This is something we, so therefore we should have an opportunity to discuss about the devotees. And this is what we see here. So why I'm paying attention is somewhere I have seen, devotees talk about God, but at times you don't speak so much favorably about the devotees. Or even if, let's say, for example, I have to play this Prabhupada video, whichever, the movie which was Hare Krishna movement, right? Yaduba Prabhu. If I have to play it again, at times I've heard, Prabhuji, dekh to li hai. I know about the life of Prabhupada. You don't know, you sit and watch. You develop gratitude first. It's not that because I've heard once, I've seen once, it's not a knowledge component, it's a matter of heart. You develop that attachment and affection. Don't think like this. See 1,000 times, what's the problem? Some of us who hear regularly Prabhupada Lila, for example, let's say I have read Prabhupada Lila. Now I know many Prabhupada pastimes. Why to hear again and again? It's essential, particularly for our Guru, particularly for Srila Prabhupada in that context. We should try to build very healthy relationship because we have joined their movement. We cannot just whimsically say, yes, I know Prabhupada. So we should try to hear. Not only hear from them, but hear about them. And therefore there's a whole series about Prabhupada, where Prabhupada disciples speaking at length about Prabhupada. So you go on YouTube, you'll find that. That should be during lunchtime, play that. Don't hear class, philosophy. That's not the time for it. During prasadam, hear that. You'll feel so nourished in relationship and our commitment will increase like that. Anyways, just few thoughts on it because I've seen often this subject is missed out. Text number 11. My dear Vidura, King Pṛthu lived in the tract of land between the two great rivers, Ganga and Yamuna. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Pṛthu Maharaj was the king of the whole world, but he lived in a tract of land between Ganga and Yamuna, which means where did he live? At least Bharat first. India. So let's zoom in India. In India, it must be somewhere in the northern part of it. That's what Prabhupada says like this. It appeared that he was enjoying his destined fortune in order to diminish the results of his past pious activities, like that has been described. Text number 12. Mahārāja Pṛthu was an unrivaled king and possessed the scepter for ruling all the 7 islands on the surface of the globe. So that's how he's the king of the whole world. No one could disobey his irrevocable orders, but the saintly persons, the Brahmanas, and the descendants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One more thing, my mind is stuck on that point. Not only hear about your spiritual master, hear about other spiritual masters also. Because ISKCON is of a family. So don't say, I'm just going to read and hear only about my spiritual master. If you hear about other spiritual masters, other leaders also, your faith in the whole movement will become solid. There are always things going on. There had been some case going on in Bihar. There is something going on here and there. That can demoralize us. अरे ऐसा भी होता है ISKCON में? क्या ISKCON सही में वास्तविक संस्था है? Something can happen to your family member connected to some other temple and center, and they may have had a bad experience, and then you may wonder, ISKCON में ऐसा होता है? So therefore, you need to know about the good people also. So please, ever have the opportunity, whenever have an opportunity to learn about the devotee, never miss on that. That's the point I want to highlight. So that's the idea, Saptadvipa. So he is the king of the Saptadvipa. Now I'm going to pay some attention to the purports. They're very nice purports here. So purport, first, second, and third paragraph. Material designations create differentiation in terms of caste, color, creed, nationality, etc. Different gotras, the family designations, are distinctions in terms of the material body. But when one comes to Krishna consciousness, he immediately becomes one of the Achyuta Gotra. or descendants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus becomes transcendental to all considerations of caste, creed, color, and nationality. So we all are part of Krishna's family. We are his descendants now. We Achyuta Gotra. We can meditate on that so we understand the responsibility that we carry. All right. Text number 13. Once upon a time, King Pṛthu initiated the performance of a very great sacrifice in which great saintly sages, Brahmanas, Devtas, from higher planetary system and great saintly kings known as Raj Rishis, all assembled together. Prabhupada writes in the purport, in those days, even Devtas will come down to take part in sacrifices performed on this planet. Text number 14. In that great assembly, Mahārāja Pṛthu first of all worshipped all the respectable visitors according to their respective positions. After this, he stood up in the midst of the assembly, and it appeared that the full moon had arisen among the stars. So, puppet, we were talking about guest reception in the beginning. So, the first procedure, the third line in the purport, the first procedure in receiving guests is to wash their feet. And it is learned from Vedic literature that one time when Mahārāja Yudhishthira performed a Rajasuya Yajna, Krishna took charge of washing the feet of the visitors. Visitors does not refer to public here. Here it refers to all sages, not Kshatriyas, only sadhus. Just to clarify that, okay? All right, text number 15. King Pṛthu's body was tall and sturdy, and his complexion. So now, following verses will describe what the beauty of King Pṛthu Maharaj. His complexion was fair, his arms were full and broad, and his eyes as bright as the rising sun. His nose was straight. I don't know what it means, his nose was straight. मुझे तो आप सबकी भी नाक straight ही नजर आ रही है. Anyone knows? I don't know what it means. His face very beautiful, and his personality grave. His teeth were set. मतलब I don't know, ladies की beauty description में भी teeth का उल्लेख होता होगा, I don't know. But his teeth were set beautifully in his smiling face. All right, interesting purport, the second paragraph of the purport. As it is said, the face is the index of the mind. One's mental constitution is exhibited by his facial features. The bodily features of a particular person are exhibited in accordance with his past deeds. For according to one's past deeds, his next bodily features, whether in human, animal, or demigod society, are determined. This is proof of the transmigration of the soul through different types of bodies. Text number 16. The chest of Mahārāja Pṛthu was very broad. His waist was very thick, and his abdomen wrinkled by lines of skin, resembled in construction a leaf of a banyan tree. His navel was coiled and deep, his thighs were of a golden hue, and his instep was arched. So descriptive, I believe the image will be creating in your mind right now how Pṛthu Maharaj looked like. Except for one thing, his nose was straight. Oh, मेरे लिए अभी vacuum है मतलब क्या है वो? Text number 17. The black slick hair on his head. When I was reading ना, I said अपना तो बाल ही नहीं है, तो ठीक है मैं शिखा पकड़ के कह सकता हूँ. The black slick hair. The black slick hair on his head was very fine and curly. His neck like a conch shell. This all resembles the description of Krishna's beauty also. When you talk about the neck, like conch shell, like this, which means has this fine lines, beautiful lines, was decorated with auspicious lines. He wore a very valuable dhoti. And there was a nice wrapper on the upper part of his body. So this is the description of his beauty. Text number 18 now. As Mahārāja Pṛthu was being initiated to perform the sacrifice, he had to leave aside his valuable dress, and therefore his natural bodily beauty was visible. It was very pleasing to see him put on a black deerskin and wear a ring of kusha grass on his finger. For this increased the natural beauty of his body. It appears that Mahārāja Pṛthu observed all the regulatory principles before he performed the sacrifice. How many of you find it mundane or transcendental? Vidurji, what did Vidurji asked? Please tell us about Pṛthu Maharaj. Tell us more about Pṛthu Maharaj. And here Maitri Muni begins to describe the beauty of Pṛthu Maharaj. For how many of us sounds mundane? यार ये क्या बात करनी beauty की? Talk. You can think about it. Matrimony, no ordinary person here. Matrimony is speaking about it. Going. It's not that Viduru asked particularly. Please let me know about the beauty of that. So this all is part of transcendental conversation. Text number 19. Just to encourage the members of the assembly and to enhance their pleasure, King Pṛthu glanced over them with eyes that seemed like stars in a sky wet with dew. He then spoke to them in a great voice. Text number 20 is very important. 7 characteristics of a great speech. You can give a whole seminar on art of speaking with this particular verse. Charu chitra padam slakshnam mrashtam gudham aviklavam sarvesham upakarahartham tada anuvadan iva charu chitra padam slakshnam mrishtam gudam aviklavam sarvesham vakarartham tada anuvadan iva. So what was his speech like? Charu, beautiful. Chitra padam, flowery. Slakshnam, clear. No ambiguity, no abstractness. Whoever heard was very clear what Pṛthu Maharaj meant. Mrashtam, very great. Gudham, meaningful of meaningful. Has a meaning. Every word had a meaning. Aviklavam, without any doubt. Sarvesham upakaratham, and it was meant to benefit others. Maharaj Pṛthu's speech was very beautiful, full of metaphorical language, clearly understandable, very pleasing to hear. His words were all grave and certain. It appears that when he spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit all who were present. And now Pṛthu Maharaj begins to speak here. So this is what now the chapter instructions of Pṛthu Maharaj begins, or instructions by Maharaj Pṛthu begins. I'll take up to another 10 verses and pause. So major focus of Pṛthu Maharaj discussion would be, prior to Pṛthu Maharaj there was King Vena, who had destroyed the theistic culture, who had destroyed God consciousness. And now Pṛthu Maharaj, so you understand why he was performing the Ashwamedh Yajna? Because he wanted opulence, he wanted sustainability for his citizen. Now finally he has come back here, darshan of Lord Vishnu, had a conversation with Lord Vishnu, etc. Now he's performing another yajna. Now he takes an opportunity of this, because yajna means everyone have come. Yajna, the idea of yajna is a festival. What was a festival in those days? They were called as yajna. Vivaha yajna, samskar yajna. So anything and everything you will do in the past will involve a yajna like this. So it's a festival. The 4th canto, the first conversation, Lord Shiva and Sati, because Daksha was performing yajna. You remember Sati? Everyone is going. So yajna is a festival. So you understand. So which means everyone have assembled. Now Pṛthu Maharaj has an opportunity to speak to everyone whatever he wants to communicate. So therefore he is going to speak about the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how everything functions under the will of the Lord. To once again re-establish the fact that the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists. And here you're going to have some very beautiful purports, some points which will be familiar to all of us, but still nonetheless we'll read it out. Text number 21. King Pṛthu said, O gentle members of the assembly, may all good fortune be upon you. May all of you great souls who have come to attend this meeting kindly hear my prayer attentively. A person who is actually inquisitive must present his decision before an assembly of noble souls. Now, it's again very interesting. Please understand and imagine, visualize otherwise. There are hundreds and thousands of millions of people have assembled there. What is Pṛthu Maharaj saying here? May all of you great souls who have come to attend this meeting. Is he referring to everyone? Or is he referring to a particular audience here? Which means there are Shudras also, Vaishyas also, Kshatriyas also, Brahmanas also, everyone. May all of you great souls have come to attend this meeting kindly hear my prayer attentively. A person who is actually inquisitive must present his decision before an assembly of noble souls. Is the king going to present whatever he is about to do for consultation to the whole assembly? No, he is speaking to a particular assembly, which Prabhupada says he is speaking right now to Vaishnavas. And then Prabhupada describes what happens in any public gathering. Please take a look, very interesting.